Hello. Today we're going to go over point slope standard and slope intercept forms. So we're actually introducing a new form today. We've talked about standard quite a bit and how you can use standard form to find x and y intercepts. And we've talked about slope intercept a lot. So today your new one is point slope form. Point slope form is used if you know the slope and any random point that is on that line. Sorry, that doesn't seem very clear. So here's how it works. You just substitute in three places. This is x1, this is y1. So right here, and right here, you'll put these values where they go, match them up correctly, and that's your equation. So it looks like this: y minus y1, which is 9, equals m, which is -2, times x minus x1. So again, the hardest part is just making sure you put each number in the correct place. The y goes with the y, the x goes with the x, the slope goes in front of the parentheses in place of m. Once you do that, that's it. That's your answer and you're done. So on this one, here's m, here's x, here's y. There's just one little thing to talk about on this one. So these minus signs, these are always part of the formula. It always has the minus signs right there. So when I say y minus, but y is actually a negative number, we don't say y minus -3. We never do that. We would take those two minuses in a row and know that that would turn into a positive. So if it's minus a negative, you're going to write a plus sign. Here's where your slope goes. Your slope is 3. And then x minus 1. Answer. And of course, these are the easiest forms. So the next thing that they can kind of throw at us is, instead of giving us the slope and a point, they give us 2 points. But we know we can use 2 points to find the slope. So instead of them just straight up giving us the slope, we're going to find it. So from 4 to 8, that went up 4. From -1 to +5, that goes up 6. So my slope is the change in the y's over the change in the x's. My slope is 4 over 6, and you would reduce that one to 2 over 3. Okay, so here's m. m is 2/3. Now I'm ready to substitute into my formula right here. And then this is a little bit different. I actually have 2 points. I can use either one and I would get the right answer either way. So me personally, if I have one with negatives and one without, I always go to the one without, because negatives tend to make us make mistakes. So if I go to that one, it would look like this: y minus the y value is equal to m, which is here, 2/3, times x minus the x value. This is my answer and I'm done. Now, had you chosen this one, it would look like this: y minus 4 is equal to the slope times x minus -1. Since that would be minus a negative, we would say plus. Either of these answers is correct. Next one, same deal. Use those 2 points to find the slope. So I have -8, 2, and I have -6, 8. From 2 to 8, that went up by 6. From -8 to -6, it's actually going up by 2. You're kind of climbing out of the hole. You're going from 8 in the hole to 6 in the hole. Okay, slope, 6 over 2, which you would reduce to +3. Right, so my slope is 3. I have this point or I have this point. Doesn't matter which one I use. If I used the first one, y minus y equals the slope times x minus -8. So minus a negative means I'll do a plus. If I used this point, y minus the y value is equal to my slope times x minus -6. And again, minus a negative changes to a positive. All right, Not too bad. Next, we want you to be able to fluently move between these different forms of the line. So if I gave you the slope of a line and a point that it passes through, and I asked you to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Well, since I've given you a point and the slope, you really need to start by writing the point slope because that's what you have, point and slope. So y minus -3, so you know that's going to be a plus, is equal to the slope times x minus 4. There it is in point slope form. Now again, they asked for it to be in slope intercept form, which means I'm just going to rearrange. So I've done this. I substituted in place of m and the x and the y. Now I'm going to distribute. It says on the x side, I'm going to distribute on the side that has parentheses just to get rid of those parentheses, right? So left side is not changing. 2 times x, 2 times -4. And then finally, to get it in slope-intercept form is this one, y is equal to mx plus b, which means the y has to be by itself. So when we say isolate the y, we mean get the y by itself. So see how your y has a +3? If you move that over, the 3 gets a sign change when it crosses the minus sign, right? I'm sorry, I said the minus sign. When it crosses the equal sign, it gets a sign change. So if I move it over there, it's going to combine with the 8, like not with the 2. The 2 has an x. It has to have an x to combine with another x. So it's these two that are adding together. -8 plus -3 is -11. And here's my answer. All right, hang in there. We're getting there. If you want to pause and try this one on your own, you feel free to. If not, it's the same thing. Here's m, here's x, here's y. We're going to write it in slope-intercept form. So start with what you know, which is point and slope, and put everything where it goes. Y minus y equals m times x minus x. Okay, there's step 1. Step 2, let's get rid of these parentheses. So y minus 17 is equal to 3 times x and 3 times -4. Step 3, get this y by itself. If you move that minus 17 over, it turns into a plus 17. So this would be 3x -12 plus 17. Answer. All right. Same thing, different form. So this time you have a table. Now listen, there's a typo on my paper and maybe on yours. If this -2 on your paper, if it says -2, it's supposed to say -4. It's supposed to be a -4 right there. Okay, so now look at the x's and the y's. We need to find the slope. See how your x goes up 1, up 1, up 1? Your changes in the x is +1. For your y's, from -4 to -6, that's going down 2. From -6 to -8, down 2. -8 to -10, down 2. Don't forget, your slope is always the change in the y's over the change in the x's. So it looks like it should be 1 over -2. That is incorrect. It's -2 over 1. The change in the y's over the change in the x's. And you more than likely would just write that as that. Either is fine. Okay, so now I know the slope. And it's asking me for 3 different forms. So here's the slope. For the point slope, I need to pick a point. Now, all of these points are going to have a negative, so I'm going to pick this smaller one. I'm going to use 3, -4. So here's my x, here's my y, here's my m, and I'm going to substitute in. So my point slope form looks like this. Y minus -4 is equal to m times x minus 3. That's my answer for point slope form. Now they want me to change it into slope intercept form. That's what we were doing up above. So 2 more steps. Here's your first step. You're going to distribute. So you have y plus 4 is equal to -2 times x and -2 times -3. So +6. And then finally, forget that plus 4 moved over. The opposite of plus 4 is minus 4. And you would have this, y equals negative 2x, positive 6, and negative 4. Boom. All right, one last thing. We haven't talked about this yet today, but we have talked about it already. Going from slope-intercept to standard, remember that x has to bump over to the front, and when it bumps over, it gets a sign change. So this negative 2x, when it moves over, it turns positive. It joins this y, and it's equal to what's left over here. And this is good. Remember, standard form, you can't start with a negative, and you can't have any fractions or decimals, but we're there. We're good. Whew. All right, one more. We got this. This slope is negative because the line is going down. Get 2 points that you know without a doubt that it's passing through, here and here. And it looks like if it goes down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. So my slope is every time it goes down 1, it goes over 2. Remember, that top number is always up and down. The bottom number is left and right. So here's my slope. Let's pick a point. I guess I should pick one of these. I'm going to use this one, the negative 2, 0. Or maybe I should use the 0, negative 1. The reason I was thinking about that is that's the y-intercept. So that'll help me a lot. Like, I can already tell you this one, my slope-intercept form, if I know the slope and the y-intercept, I can write that one pretty easily, can't I? There's that. I do need to back up and do this one. Okay, so for this one, let's just stick with the same point, this one. So y minus negative 1 is equal to m times x minus x. Now, really, there's no sense in writing that minus 0. You could just leave that part off. It's not wrong if you put it. All right, last thing. Get this into standard form. So remember that x has to bump to the front and it gets a sign change. So the negative 1/2 turns to positive 1/2. It joins the y and it's equal to this 1, which is negative. And the only thing wrong with this is I have a fraction, and standard form says you cannot have fractions or decimals, and the first number has to be positive. So if I just multiply each part by 2, that will cancel this fraction out. 2 times 1y, that's the part most people tend to skip, by the way. 2 times negative 1. Whew, it seemed like a lot of work today. You're ready, though. Get started.